Okay, you can start the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Today, Wednesday, June 15th, I'd like to call the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee.
Madam Clerk, who's our vice chair of this committee?
It's not one down here.
Okay. Who's the senior most member? Would it be Alderman Kotar?
Yeah, if Alderman Balmer is not on, it is Alderman Coder.
Oh, Alderwoman Spencer, are you back?
Did I go away?
You went away. Yes, you said Wednesday, June 15th, and then that was the end of it.
My apologies. Okay, so it looks like I have a little glitch in my internet here. I'd like to call the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Balmer. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderwoman Rice.
Here.
Alderwoman Peel. Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Chairwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Balmer. Alderman Coder.
Here.
Alderwoman Peel. 5 present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today, let's see, we don't have any minutes to handle. So the first and only order of business really today is Board Bill 44. This is the only item on our agenda today. The subject is a big one that the trajectory of our city. It certainly would lay the groundwork for doing that. The discussion of our charter. Our charter, as we all know, is really the most fundamental legal document of a city. It's what establishes the form and structure of any city government. It defines our powers, the power establishes the procedures that really govern the conduct of city officials and really the administration of a city. I think now is a moment not just of healing for our city, but one of reflection and one of moving forward. And the reviewing of our city charter, the governing documents of our city could play a very, very important role here. And I believe that it should. So I want to commend the sponsor for bringing the subject before us. I think it's important to note here that while my lighting is very goofy, note that that this is a very, very important matter, one that we should and will be taking public input on. And I look forward to having a very, very thoughtful discussion on this. Today is just the first hearing for this bill. It's an introduction to the committee, to the public. And I certainly look forward, and I hope we all look forward to inviting the public to participate. I'd like to hand it over to the sponsor, Alderwoman Annie Rice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think it was a great introduction. We caught most of it. There were a few little glitches, but I think we got most of it. I know it's hot out there, and I think our internet is taking a beating as well. So thank you so much to the committee for hopping on during a short, busy week to get an introduction on this bill. So I worked with the City Councilor's office to get a draft of this bill together in a way that I think hopefully sets us off on a good path. And I do have a short presentation just kind of to walk through the gist of the bill. But basically, you know, we are a charter city. Our charter was written in 1918. We have not had a charter commission process since 1949. There have been other attempts at changing the charter. There have been, you know, Board of Freeholders that established the Metropolitan Sewer District. There have been unsuccessful Board of Freeholders attempts this, you know, in the last couple of years, and there have been submissions to the charter either from the Board of Aldermen or from outside groups in various forms and functions over the years. So what a charter commission would do would give us a transparent government body that is participating to make changes to the charter, suggesting changes to the charter, and would function as a government body. So all meetings would be public meetings. They would be sunshineable. They would be available to view. So this all of their workings. The goal is transparency here as we're reforming the charter. And then reliability, as this would institute an every 10-year process for us to come back and revisit potential needed amendments to the charter, or none at all. Should the Charter Commission, fail to come up with anything, there is a possibility that they would say there's nothing. But I looked at the city of Baltimore has a charter commission like this. They just passed some significant revisions to theirs back in 2020, and it created it as an every 10-year reoccurring cycle. And partially, they were undergoing some significant governmental change as well. And several charter amendments had been submitted to the voters in various forms, and there was a need for sort of an oversight and an overarching body to take all of those different amendments and make sure that they worked together, that they were coherent, that they were cohesive. And if you take a look at our charter, you'll see lots of places where different court cases have made rulings that have made changes, and it can be a little bit complex and wieldy to sort through. This would give us an opportunity for a year-long process that would have oversight into all aspects of the charter, that they could submit charter amendments to the voters that would be more than just one-off changes. We could do some real sort of cohesive work here. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, if that's okay, Madam Chair, for a short little presentation.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the goal here, a transparent, reliable, public engaged process every 10 years to review and reform our charter as needed as the city of St. Louis grows and changes and adapts. Any changes proposed or requested or needed to the charter to better improve functions of our city government or city services, or none at all, should the commission not come to a consensus. So it's sort of the goal here. I don't have any specific I have no specific requests around topics. I know that the public has a lot of topics that they would like addressed. We all, I'm sure, have topics that we are interested in the charter that can be addressed. And it's designed to be a participatory process so that we're there at all times getting feedback from us and from the public as we go through this about what needs to be changed. So the overall makeup of the commission would be 9 voting members. So there is a process that we'll walk through here in a second. Folks would apply, then each member of the Board of Aldermen would submit 2 of the applicants back to the mayor's office. The mayor would choose a body of 9 applicants to send back to the Board of Aldermen, the same way that sort of boards and commissions come back to the Board of Aldermen. The Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, or whichever committee we rename as we go through changes here to the Board of Aldermen that deals with intergovernmental affairs, will have public hearing and vet those nominees. And if there is a process for a sort of back and forth, if there's disagreement on, one or more of those nominees as they come back from the mayor's office. So overall 9 voting members. There will be 6 ex officio non-voting members. So 1 from the mayor's office or their designee, the president of the Board of Aldermen, the comptroller, the city councilor, the chairperson of the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, and the director of personnel would be able to participate in these meetings. We would ask to participate actively in these meetings, or they could designate someone to do that. This next step, so timeline. This is one of the reasons that I was really grateful to have a hearing as soon as possible. I know we're busy and it's a time of tumult, but having the opportunity to kind of put this timeline in front of you so you can see what we were thinking of as we drafted it. So if we submit this to the voters at the November 2022 election, the application process would begin in December. It would be open for 30 days. At that point, applications would be sent from the mayor's office back to the Board of Aldermen. So that takes about 7 days. Then the Board of Aldermen each would select 2 applicants to send to the mayor's office. We would have a time period of 15 days to do that. And that should be time for us to see the whole roster of who has applied. We can make phone calls. We can, check in, see who our community supports to put those people forward. And that would put us near the end of January for this process that we would send them back to the mayor's office. The mayor then has another 15 days to select 9 nominees out of that pool. So this first year, because there are 28 aldermen, there will be a body of 56 nominees for the mayor's office to choose, our pool of applicants for the mayor to choose from to select these 9 nominees. After we go down to 14, there will be 28 total for the mayor to select 9 from. When they send those back to the Board of Aldermen, after that, within that 15-day period, then the committee of the Board of Aldermen would hold hearings on the nominees, and we would vote to confirm or not each of those 9 nominees as it comes back through. So that would follow the same nomination process as boards and commissions follow right now. And the reason, if you're wondering why I lined out these dates so specifically, is because of the Board of Freeholders process, and because we were unable to come to an agreement on the nominees for the city to represent the city on the Board of Freeholders. So trying to have some real hard deadlines in here that we do follow. And if members of the Board of Aldermen do not select applicants to send back to the mayor, they forfeit those applicants. So that is built into this, because I want us to be participating from the beginning. We oftentimes have committees and commissions that members of the body don't submit nominees for. And so we want to try to be very clear about what this looks like should we not participate in the front end of that process. So then if throughout the process of confirmation, any of the nominees are rejected by either the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee or the full Board of Aldermen, the mayor would submit a new name from that previously selected applicant pool within 7 days. So we would have, through this process, this 30-day process, and then past that all the way up until April 15th, if there are any rejections on the process, to fill those 9 slots. So if, as of April 15th, there are any remaining open positions that have not been fully passed by the Board of Aldermen, we've detailed out a drawing out of a hat process. So not a flip of a coin, but just a hat draw process from the remaining pool of applicants that the members of the Board of Aldermen have sent to the mayor's office to fill those spots. That also applies in the circumstance of a vacancy on the commission in the year period that they meet. So this next piece here, commission appointments begin May 1st of 2023. So the commission will be officially instituted as of May 1st and 2023, and then every 10 years thereafter. And the first public meeting shall be held no later than May 15th. The task is to have at least 1 monthly public meeting. And then there are requirements as well for submission back to the Board of Aldermen, back to the public, with a report of what these suggested changes will be, both before they make their final decision and then afterwards. And then, so the discharge as of May 15th of the following year, and that would give us time to go out and have public meetings to educate the public before either an August or November election. So the goal is to have it on a regularly scheduled election. I think that fall elections are our best target for the most voter participation. Our highest voter turnouts come in August and November elections, statewide congressional elections. And that would sort of alternate, whether it's a presidential year or not every 10 years, but we would have these regularly scheduled elections. The goal would not be to call any special elections to incur further costs for the Board of Elections. So the last little piece, and then we can get into questions and discussion. The timeline is important here because in order for this to go to the voters in November, we as a committee need to have a bill that we all have agreed on and can send to the full body of the Board of Aldermen before we recess in July. And if we stick to this timeline, then we're sticking to that fall election cycle for any recommendations that come out of the Charter Commission. So we could potentially, if we delay this, we'll need to rework some. It's not that it can't happen, but it would potentially put us closer to municipal elections than to fall elections, and kind of change up the year as we would be moving this through. And then if we stick to this current timeline as well, then this current elected body of aldermen, so the 28 of us who are sitting or will be sitting here by January, hopefully, we'll have the ability to nominate the first members of this first commission. And as we transition to our legislative body of 14, we know that there are things that we all have an eye to that would be helpful to suggest to this new body. So anyway, so this is sort of the overview here, and I will have this document to you all as well so you can review in the future. But for the moment, I'm going to stop sharing, and I think it's probably good to have some time for questions. I can always pull it back up if people have questions about specific things that I went through here.
Thank you, Alderwoman Rice. With that, I think I'd like to turn it over to the committee for questions. Let's see, Alderman Vollmer is not with us. Alderman Coder.
No questions at this time. I appreciate the very, very thorough explanation by the Alderman from the 8th.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Is Alderwoman Peel with us? No. Alderman Stevens?
Yeah, I do have a quick question for the bill sponsor, although it might also be a question for Alderman of the 7th, Alderman Kotar. But Alderwoman Rice, I know that you're wanting to get this on the fall municipal ballot, and we are past, if I'm correct, we're past the time period for that. Are we still within we're not outside the time period for?
We're within the time period for the November general election. So we would have to pass this by the end of August, technically, but since the board is on recess as of July 15th, that's why we would need to get this done sooner.
Okay. Now, Alderman Kotar, this might be where you come in. I know that with another board bill of ours that wanted to be on the August ballot, the city saw and achieved or received a writ of mandamus. Are we outside the scope for doing that if you'd like for it to be on the August ballot? Or is your goal November specifically? I'm sorry, Jack, I cut you off.
No, I mean, Madam Chair, can I answer the question?
Yes, Alderman from the 7th. If you don't mind, please.
Not usually how this works. They've changed the statute on the timing to get things on the ballot, Alderman, but I believe it's 8 weeks now. It used to be 10 weeks, and if it was 10 weeks to get on the ballot, or if you were closer to 6 weeks, you had to go to court. And I think that's what just happened with the Holly Hills situation. They were like just outside of the deadline and needed to seek a court order. But what the Alderwoman appears to be proposing is to just get this passed before we go down, in which case there's no reason to go to court. It would just go on the ballot as a function of us passing it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And just to clarify, I am seeking November ballot, not August.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So the August ballot assignment. Well, thank you first and foremost, Alderman Kotar, for explaining that. I appreciate that. So, okay, that was my only question. If it had been hopeful that it would be on the August ballot, but it seems that you're aiming for the November ballot entirely, which then, okay. I will have further questions, but I don't have them now, Madam Chairwoman. I am supportive of the commission. I think this is necessary. I think now is the time to do it. I just don't know if there's enough time to do it meaningfully is my concern. But otherwise, I'm happy to support this, and I'm eager for this forward momentum, this very necessary forward momentum for our city. So thank you for yielding to my question, and thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for hosting the meeting. Thanks.
Alderwoman Peel has joined us. Did you have any questions for the sponsor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not at this point in time.
Thank you. Alderwoman Rice, if you don't mind, the presentation that you gave us today, would you mind distributing it to the committee and making sure that we all have some clarity on the timelines and the deadline?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So that we can have that our purview. And I'll just remind the committee here that the bill is not to establish the commission or make recommendations. It's just to outline the process through which we can establish a charter commission. And so I do think it's important that we maybe have, pose the questions that we do have as we move through this. So if there was a desire, if there was, if there was a way to get it done, to put it on the November ballot, to follow the timeline that the Alderwoman from the 8th has outlined, that we could entertain that. Otherwise, if we had concerns about that, to share those, but make sure that we understand that we're not here to establish the commission today. We're here to outline a process. Alderwoman from the 8th, it'd be helpful if maybe you could, and sharing documents with the committee, help us understand the process that other cities have gone through. We have asked the council for the board to prepare for us kind of a history of the charter, other commissions that were considered, so that the committee and the board as a whole can be as educated as possible on what the city of St. Louis has entertained by way of charter commissions. And I think it would be helpful if the sponsor could help maybe do some research on some of the ways in which other cities have established similar commissions, so that we can maybe make sure that we're in line with what best practices are.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that, considering that is.
If I could, Madam Chair, yeah. So I don't know how many folks have read the St. Louis Politics book by Lana Stein. So she was one of my phone calls as I was going through this, was to figure out, from her historical perspective, what she knew about charter commissions. And, 1949 was the last time that she could remember as well. And I can include some documents about how Baltimore has done it. That's really been one of the key cities that I've looked to for this process. And we did invite other members of the board. If you're open, Madam Chair, if anybody else who is joining us today has any questions, I'd be happy to. I want this to be as collaborative as possible. So if you have questions, please get them to me so we can work on this. That's my goal here. Sorry, did we freeze out?
I think we might have.
Okay, I see that we have other members of the Board of Aldermen with us, and if they had any questions or concerns that we could address, I would be happy to do that now, so that if there are other amendments needed, I can get to work on those.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Nothing for me at this time, just say that. Sorry.
I don't have the seniority in front of me, so I'm going to guess here, but I will entertain any questions from additional members of the board. Alderman Gunther, did you have any questions of the sponsor?
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
None at this time, thank you.
Okay. And Alderman Gross has indicated he doesn't have any questions either. So at this time, I would ask any other members of the board or the committee or anybody else who's joining us, if they do have questions, maybe perhaps we could address them directly to Alderwoman Rice. And we'll be moving forward through this process with some public testimony as this goes forward. And given we have no more questions, Alderwoman Rice, thank you so much for bringing this before us. Thank you for entertaining our questions. And with that, if there's nothing else, that was the only matter before us, I will adjourn the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. Okay, thank you.